Hey guys, Tyrep here, and the September balance update is live right now. So I'll be going through the patch notes and doing demonstrations of the relevant parts as they arise. Getting started, game-wide changes for all factions. Heavy tanks are no longer going to be just no-tech call-ins anymore. They're going to require a reduced amount of command points, but you will need final tier tech in order to call them in. This includes the IS-2, KV-2, Command Panther, Sturm Tiger, Pershing, Croc, and a VRE. Very nice change. Call-in requirements for the heavy tank destroyers, the Elephant, Jagdtiger, and ISU-152 remain at their old command points, so around 14 command points for them, because they still dominate team games once they hit the field, so retaining that old timing I think is for the better. And the majority of heavy tanks have also had their AoE values standardized to deal more reliable damage to infantry as well as they scatter a little bit. And we'll cover those as they arise. Medics. So a few changes to make medics more responsive. Medics will now sprint towards wounded infantry models. Medic chase range standardized to 20 for all base and forward structures, so much shorter. They won't chase your squads out of base nearly as much, but also maybe if you're trying to heal next to the bunker or whatever it is and you're getting howitzer shelled, you won't be able to stand quite far away and get healed, so a little bit of a drawback in that regard, but overall for the better. USF and UKF medic squads now have a timed area of effect heal ability that automatically heals squads around them when activated. So this will be similar to Tommy healing, and then hopefully this will make USF and UKF medics slightly better, because at the moment the auto heal doesn't really work. It's just a real mess. And even if you manually right click them to heal a squad, sometimes it doesn't work, especially if the squad's clumped up. So nice change to medics. Take a look at the new medics. I've got an injured Grenadier squad here running back to base, so we'll see exactly where the 20 range is and see the medics sprinting into action. So yeah, they get a real hustle on, and right around here in relation to the bunker is 20 range. So there you go, you see that medic running back because this guy's slightly too far away to get healed. But right around here is 20 range, and that's the new sprinting medics. So taking a look at the revised medics, in this case the British medic squad, which you can get from the air landing glider. So you can still heal squads with right click. I thought this might be going away, but nope, you can still do that. They do heal pretty quickly. You can also disable this from automatically happening, so your squad doesn't run around and get into some awkward positions. And then the medical supplies, the squad was, maybe around slightly under a quarter health, so I want to see just how much this will heal on such a low health squad. But yeah, I mean, between the manual healing or / automatic healing and the AoE healing, this is actually going to provide a lot of healing. May even make this quite appealing to go for as the Brits, and certainly if you end up losing your ambulance, you're not going to be too sorry about it, because this is very effective. So it looks like it heals maybe slightly over half health of a squad. So there we go, that's the new look at the medics. Howitzers. All howitzers start on cooldown after their barrage finishes or is interrupted. All barrage cooldowns reduced by 20 seconds. So the new way this will work, you do a barrage, once the barrage is over, that's when the cooldown starts, rather than starting when you start the barrage. So overall, howitzers won't be able to lay down continuous fire quite as much as they did previously, especially once vetted up. But say if you were just way off target on your barrage, you can cancel your barrage, start that cooldown quickly, and then reposition your howitzer, so you don't just leave it firing into the nether for no reason if you are way off target on your barrage. So making it a little bit more strategic. We'll see if howitzers get built after this. I do worry that this might be a bit of a nerf for the static howitzers, especially the ML20. I feel like we'll be coming off the worst from this change. So taking a look at the howitzer barrages, I've got this howitzer doing a barrage here. I'm also going to do a barrage on this one, and then cancel it. And then see, it starts on cooldown after the barrage is finished, so now I can reposition it, and hopefully it'll be ready to go quickly after whiffing on that barrage. Barrage is still going for this Howie. And there we go. Barrage is over and then the cooldown starts. So that's the new way that Howitzers will be working. On to the faction changes, starting with OKW. Teching and faction changes. We feel OKW is in a very dominant position in the very early game on the back of the Sturm Pioneers. So some changes have been made to slightly reduce their pre-patch power level right off the start, and then make their transition through to the mid and late game a bit more smooth. So to achieve this, starting resources is starting manpower going from 340 to 320, starting fuel going from 5 to 10. SWS truck going from 115 to 7015. And on top of that, Fallshirmjager costs are going from 250 to 260, so 10 manpower increase there, combined with a 20 manpower reduction here. So right from the second Fallshirmjager, those Fallshirmjagers are going to be coming in much more slowly, and that should stop that really thunderous punch in the early game from OKW. Not going to completely halt it, Sturm Pioneers still very strong in the early game, but should stop just a flood of OKW units overwhelming you in the early game. But also because, you do hit the field a little bit more slowly now as OKW. Just a slight buff to the fuel. And the net impact from these manpower changes combined with the truck changes is that if you go full Fallshirmjager into your first stage of tech, the manpower should be the same. Schwerpanzer headquarters. This has been split into two parts, mainly to allow you to get obers earlier on and kind of smooth out that tech, as I talked about earlier. So the cost is going from 200 120 to 160, and this allows you to build obers. However, the ober upgrades are still behind the next stage of tech, which is called Panzer Authorization. Panzer Authorization is 100 manpower and 60 fuel, so it adds up to the same total. And then that unlocks all the tanks, also unlocks the Obersoldat and weapon upgrades. The flak cannon is disabled until the Panzer Authorization is complete. Panzer Authorization must be repurchased if the HQ is destroyed and is required for all heavy tank call-ins, so no more panic King Tigers to bail you out. You're going to have to rebuild the tech, so it's going to be very costly if you lose this. However, Obersoldat and weapon upgrades only need Panzer Authorization to be purchased once. So if you lose your tech structure, you still will be able to get Ober upgrades if you only get the first stage of tech. So makes it a little bit less punishing, that department. So taking a look at the revised OKW teching, here we have the Schwerpanzer upgrade, 100 manpower, 60 fuel, as you can see there. We'll see how long it takes to plant down, because as mentioned in the notes, you're not going to have access to the flak gun until you complete the Panzer Authorization. So whilst it's in this first stage of tech, it may be a little bit vulnerable to getting rushed down, maybe by something like a satchel or double AT gun, something like that. So I want to see how quickly these upgrades go through and whatnot. But there were no mentions about any changes, so it does look like it's basically the same speed as it was pre-patch, at least for this first stage of upgrade. We'll have to wait and see how fast the Panzer Authorization comes online.
HQ operations now underway.
So now that's complete, we have access to the Obersoldaten only from this tech structure. So we'll go for the Panzer Authorization upgrade, 100 manpower, 60 fuel. See how fast that is. Oh man, that's actually looking quite slow. So the combination of putting the truck down and putting the upgrade on this is going to mean you're going to be quite vulnerable to an assault. So putting this forward is going to be quite risky, because got an enemy squad out here, for example. As you can see, the gun on this doesn't work until that upgrade is complete. So that is quite scary if you're trying to put this down in a forward position, the speed of these two upgrades. And it looks like, as you can see, pre-upgrade there are no men on the gun, the flak gun, but then post-upgrade there are now men manning the flak gun. So that's how you can tell whether it's upgraded or not. Now you have access to all the tanks. Let's a look at the revised OKW Tech structure. Already talked about this. Fox Grenadiers going from 250 to 260, but the reinforcement costs still the same. Sturm Pioneers, their veterancy requirements are going down, so they're going to vet up a little bit more quickly. The Vet 4 accuracy bonus is being moved to Vet 3. The Vet 3 construction bonus is being moved to Vet 4, so switch around there. And the concussive grenade is now Vet 1 rather than Vet 3. So I do worry a little bit about this change, the concussive grenade coming in that much earlier, but I have to wait and see. This will allow Sturm Pioneers to scale quite a lot better in the mid game. MG34 HMG, because this actually doesn't really do that much damage, it's quite hard to vet it up, so veterancy requirements on that are going down. Kuhwagen did get a couple buffs in the previous patch, but still doesn't see much use, so a slight change here. Health is going from 240 to 192, but a received damage modifier of 0.8 added. So the net effect is this is basically the exact same amount of health, but this will decrease repair times on it. So if it does take damage, you won't spend quite so long repairing it back up. So it should help you maintain your early game momentum, which you really need when using something like a Kugelwagen. Raketenwerfer getting a lot of changes, and if you're following the mod, this went through a lot of different iterations. But here we are at the final one. Cost going from 270 to 290, slight manpower cost increase there, but the range is going up from 50 to 55. And we did see in the Balance Invitational that extra 5 range does make a pretty big difference. Crew size going from 4 to 5, so it'll be less likely to get one shot by HE Shermans and the like, having the extra crew model. Camouflage ability now locks the unit in place unless revealed, cannot move but can rotate, so it can stay on the spot, but you can't creep it forwards. Won't be able to go for those like sneaky behind enemy lines, Katyusha kills or whatever any longer. So big change to the Raketen in that department in exchange for some of these other buffs. Requires Vet 1 for camouflage. Retreat function is still there, so don't worry. I know that was gone in the earlier versions of the mod, but you can still retreat it. And the population is still at 7. Flak half track. This isn't seeing much play at the moment, so it's getting buffed. Fuel cost is going down from 55 to 50. The Vet 5 mobility bonuses are being moved to Vet 3. Then the Vet 3 bonus is being moved to Vet 4. The Vet 4 bonus is being moved to Vet 5. Also, the smoke cost is going down from 35 to 25. And then the Vet cost is going from 25 to 15. So overall, just trying to make the flak half track a bit more survivable. It's very tricky to use against things like the AEC and the Stuart. So trying to buff its survivability a little bit here, as well as decrease its cost, since it isn't seeing much play. Tiger 2. This is the King Tiger, and this is receiving quite a lot of changes, similar to other heavy tanks. Fuel cost is going down slightly from 280 to 270, more in line with its performance compared to other heavy tanks. AoE is being changed, so the near and the mid are going way down, but the far AoE is going up, so the one-hit kill radius will be much smaller, but overall it will hit a slightly larger area. Similar story with the damage here. And the scatter is going down from 7.5 to 5, so this will be much more accurate when shooting against infantry, or if it rolls a miss on tanks, maybe it will be more likely to hit them as well. So big buff. Yeah, the scatter change. Spearhead is going to Vet 1 and Combat Blitz is going to Vet 3. I'm not sure about this change. I did kind of like Blitz on the King Tiger because it's so slow, such bad rotation, such bad mobility, very easy to get it in a tough situation. You need to blitz out of there. So I'm a little bit hesitant about this change. But Spearhead is, gives it extra sight, so maybe you can avoid those sticky situations. We have to wait and see how that goes. And the veterancy requirements are going down on this because it was a bit of a meme how hard it was to vet up the King Tiger. So here we are testing the King Tiger's AoE changes against a 5-man squad close to max range. See the scatter and the AoE differences. So 2 shots. Squad very low in health now. So even close to max range, every one of these shots connecting with the rifle squad. And then we got text down, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots. The squad, they're pretty well spread out as well, and the shots, early shots were landing quite far to the left. So there we go. Pretty tight scatter on the King Tiger now. And even at max range, you know, it can reliably hit infantry if it is stationary. And now testing the KT close range against a bunched up squad here. So overshot that time, but still took away half their health. Machine gun continues to soften them up. Overshot again. Overshot again. Seem to be having trouble with this super close range here.
Target destroyed.
Took it out reasonably quickly there. I might try that again at a slightly further range, see if it stops overshooting so much. So rerunning that, but slightly further away. Ooh. So the one hit kill radius, as you can see there. So the one shot kill radius is quite small, only one shot one of the models in that first shot, but did heavy damage to the rest of the squad, got them down to maybe like 10% health. So still can be pretty scary if it gets a direct hit on a clumped up squad. Opal Blitz, this is the truck available in the Firestorm Commander. Basically saw no play at all, so it's getting buffed. Command point requirements are going down from 3 to 2, going to come in earlier. Now has access to the ambulance healing ability, going to be very strong there. Acceleration going way up from 1.5 to 3, so we'll actually be able to get away from trouble. Rotation also going up from 30 to 38, and fuel costs going down from 25 to 20. So a lot of buffs here to the Opal Blitz overall. We'll have to wait and see how those play out. The infantry support gun Incendiary Barrage, this is the one in Firestorm again. So the scatter is going down, so the shell should land in a tighter area now. But the reload is also going down, so the shell should come in more quickly, trying to saturate the area with flames more rapidly. The incendiary shell garrison damage modifier is going from 0.5 to 0.75. It's only a fixed impact damage, so damage it does when the shell lands, not the damage over time that the pool of flame leaves. And then the number of flame damage over time ticks dropped per shell, a change from 1 to 2. This effectively doubles the damage of its damage over time. So overall, a huge buff to the infantry support gun Incendiary Barrage here should make Firestorm a lot more appealing between this change and then the final change. The hits are also having its veterancy requirements reduced because it's just so hard to vet that thing up. So testing out the revised OKW Incendiary Barrage here. As you can see, the auto fire range ends out here, but the Incendiary Barrage can be fired a little bit further than that, similar to the regular barrage. Just going to test it against this building here. Costs 35 munitions. So firing into the fog of war, your scatter may be a little bit larger than this, but I want to be able to see the damage it's going to do to these units. The shells do come in at a reasonable timing. Looks like it's firing 4 shells and does pretty good damage on impact to the squad inside the building. And I guess there's like there's 2 models on the far end of the building that are not getting burnt. So the size of the shells when they land is not that huge. And the scatter is like pretty damn tight. But certainly that's going to be enough to force you out of a building. Doesn't look like it's quite enough to burn down a building. Just smoking, which means it's very close to burning down, but hasn't actually caught fire yet. Yeah, that's a look at the revised OKW Firestorm Incendiary Barrage. Overwatch flares. These are the flares in the Overwatch Commander that trigger when an enemy squad runs into the capture circle. These are no longer automatic now, they must be planted by all the relevant squads. They're still free, however, and they can be planted on territory captured by your teammates, not just yourself. And they take 7 seconds to plant. Radio Silence, this is the ability in the Spec Ops Commander, otherwise known as the Command Panther Commander, since that's going behind tech. Is receiving a little bit of a buff to make the Commander a little bit more appealing. Added a 1.2 movement speed for infantry during the ability, and the cost is going up from 25 to 40. So, you know, your squads will be hidden on the tactical map and the mini map, and you'll be able to sprint around and hopefully outmaneuver your opponent. Makes Radio Silence a bit more appealing. So now we're taking a look at the revised Radio Silence. 40 munitions. Here's Fox Grenadiers running along at the regular speed. now at 1.2 times speed. So not a full sprint, but certainly a little bit faster. But whilst they're moving this fast, they can still fire. So looks like for Mother Russia or whatever, whilst you're sprinting that fast, you can't actually fire on the move. This makes this ability actually like extremely strong. You can fire whilst moving at that speed, and it lasts for 60 seconds. On top of that, the cooldown is maybe 30 seconds after that's done. So you can almost have this on permanently for only 40 munitions. This ability is looking really strong. Speaking of the Command Panther, that is also being tied to tech like other heavy call-in tanks. So the command point requirements are being reduced to 9 and requires an operational Schwerpanzer headquarters upgraded with the Panzer authorization to be called in. So you need the upgrade, can't just get the first stage of that tech. Sight range is going down from 55 to 50, but this is the same range as the main gun, so it still will be able to self-spot. Cost going down as well from 560 225 to 520 200. And then the aura sight bonus is also going down from 20 to 15. Infiltration grenades, these are going up in cost from 15 munitions to 20. Even though at 20 they still will be quite cheap. We don't really want to just nerf these commanders into the ground, especially the Spec Ops one with the Command Panther going behind tech. So just a slight nerf to infiltration grenades there. Sturmtiger is also going behind tech. It's at 8 command points to be called in and requires the Panzer authorization upgrade. Fallshirmjager are receiving a huge number of changes. The manpower cost is going down from 380 to 320. The command point requirements are also going down from 3 to 2, so you'll be able to get them in earlier. They now come in with only 2 FG42s, and you'll have to upgrade the next 2. And you can get that upgrade once the Schwerpanzer headquarters is deployed. Their mid-range is going up, so they'll be doing more damage basically across their entire range now, but especially around that mid-range area. The FG42 fire rate is going from 6 to 7, so it'll be firing more quickly, spitting out more damage. And the FG42 fire cooldown is going down from 2 to 1.35, so the gap between bursts will be shorter, so they'll be spitting out more damage long range. Now has a first strike ambush bonus of plus 25% accuracy when attacking from camouflage. That's a nice change. The Vet 3 accuracy bonus is going from 15% to 30%, but that extra 15% is being removed from Vet 5. So overall this will mean Fallshirmjager will start scaling earlier. So right from Vet 3 they'll experience a pretty big power spike there. And Vet 5 now provides a plus 20% boost to their first strike ambush modifier. So I imagine that will add up to an overall 50% bonus when they're attacking out of camouflage. That should be very, very nasty, very, very white potential for the Fallshirmjager. So here we are testing the new Fallshirmjager. This is the unupgraded squad, so they've only got 2 FG42s versus a M1919 rifleman squad long range. It's probably like a pretty realistic scenario what you might be running into. You know, Fallshirmjager do come in at that earlier timing. Probably similar timing to when riflemen will have the M1919 upgrade. Probably not at Vet 2 quite yet.
Fallshirmjager ready for deployment. Commander abilities ready. Heavy fortification now available. Pioneers standing by.
So these two models are slightly out of range of each other. Yeah, it looks like the Fallshirmjager are going to win that engagement. So that's an interesting one. So now Fallshirmjager with only 2 FG42s still against some commandos charging in long range. Looks like I didn't move the commandos quite close enough, but it does look like a pretty convincing win to the Fallshirmjager nonetheless. So if you're trying this with your commandos, you're going to be in big trouble, and that's second lot of FG42s coming along. These are looking pretty strong. So now Fallshirmjager with still only 2 FG42s versus some M1919 paratroopers, long range. So a pretty convincing win there for the paratroopers, as you would expect. So when it comes to upgrading Fallshirmjager with the second lot of FG42s, you only need the Schwerpanzer headquarters down. you don't need the Panzer authorization unlocked, so they'll come online a little bit earlier than the Obersoldaten upgrades. So now we have the Fallshirmjager with the FG42 upgrade, so now all 4 models have got the FG42s and they get this icon to denote that fact, and they're going to be fighting against paratroopers here long range. This is a really close fight. So a very, very close fight there, and that is the paratroopers' optimal range. So it looks like these Fallshirmjager are going to be quite strong at their timings. So now I'm going to have a look at the ambush bonus against the unvetted squad of riflemen closing in here. Just want to see how quickly they melt in the face of the Fallshirmjager. Okay, so I'd say that stormtroopers will kill a squad much more quickly in that kind of scenario. So they're definitely not going to get quite as many wipes as stormtroopers, but obviously they're quite a lot better long range. But yeah, I was a little bit worried that maybe squads would go down too quickly for you to be able to react against these highly vetted Fallshirmjager, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Panzer Fusiliers are receiving a slight change here in light of the reduced starting manpower for OKW. So their manpower cost is going down from 280 to 270. Reinforced is still the same. And the G43 upgrade is going down from 90 to 80 munitions, so a little bit more affordable on the G43 package. The sector assault planes and the OKW Overwatch Commander are also getting nerfed slightly. The suppression on the anti-infantry plane is going down, both in terms of absolute suppression and then radius that it affects. So quite a lot less suppression in the sector assault. Should mean suppression on one pass rather than pinning straight away, and you should only get pinned if you get hit by multiple passes of these anti-infantry planes. So doing a test on the suppression of these sector assault planes. Let's see how they go. So a pretty wide area of suppression still there. Second pass comes through, gets pinned on 2 of them, the 2 that get most directly hit by it, but still a pretty decent area of suppression here in this entire area. So maintaining the pin on the squads that are getting most directly targeted by it, by multiple passes, but keeping the suppression on quite a few squads there. So still covers a pretty decent area. Get some good suppression in there, but unlikely to get pinned unless you get hit by multiple passes. Assault artillery, this is the artillery in the commander along with the Jagdtiger breakthrough. The ability is no longer bound to a sector. You can use it just like most other off maps, just target it on an area where you have sight, except for base sectors. Now drops 20 artillery shells in a 45 meter radius, 10 artillery shells in a 25 meter radius, and ends by launching 15 smoke shells in a 40 meter radius. So this means that, you know, close to the center of the ability will be the most devastating, but they'll still scatter wide, so won't be quite so wayward all over the area, but more concentrated towards the middle of the barrage. Artillery shell delay is going down slightly, so they should come in more quickly, and same story with the smoke shells. So here's the revised assault artillery. As you can see, I'm targeting it over here, but right on the edge of the screen on the right is where the edge of the indicator lies, so should cover a pretty wide area. And drop it right in the middle here. Got quite a lot of units clustered around the center. See how devastating it is close to the middle where most of the shells are supposed to be landing. That is pretty destructive, I have to say. Outright killed that T-34. I think most of the central shells seem to land right on top of it. But a decent carnage across the rest of the area as well. Seems to scatter about a whole screen with the width. So yeah, it looks pretty good. That is the revised assault artillery. The Sturm Officer, also in the commander along with the Jagdtiger, is being completely reworked. One of the few units in the game that didn't have veterancy previously, but now will have veterancy, so that's nice. But alongside those changes, the target size is going from 1 to 0.91, so we're a little bit more resilient to small arms damage right out the gate. The passive aura is being removed, trying to reduce the blob potential of this a little bit, but also the retreat on officer model death is being removed, so you won't be able to focus fire the officer and then cause the whole army to retreat. Command point requirements going from 1 to 2, so they'll come in slightly later, similar to other officer units from other factions. Now has access to Model 24 smoke grenades, so it'll be able to use smoke, 15 munitions, and the smoke grenade benefits from the Vet 1 and Vet 2 bonuses. So one of the officer's abilities is called Mark Target, and that gives a received accuracy penalty on the targeted unit of 30%, so it'll make them about 30% more vulnerable to small arms damage. I was talking about the veterancy earlier, and here it is. Vet 1 reduces the cost of all abilities by 10 munitions, similar to most squads get utility at Vet 1 rather than combat bonuses. Vet 2 increases squad size to 5, so it gets an extra model, plus 10 to ability range. Vet 3 plus 40% accuracy. Vet 4 minus 29% received accuracy. Vet 5 minus 25% weapon cooldown, and the officer gets an STG 44 Panzergrenadier variant, gains shared veterancy, so when it's near your squads, it should vet up more quickly as they do damage to enemy squads. So it should vet up quite quickly. So yeah, that's the Sturm Officer change. A lot of changes there. I'm really excited about this underutilized unit, and hopefully this makes it a lot more appealing, especially with all the other changes in this commander. So here we have the Sturm Officer against a penal squad long range. See how it performs. I believe its bodyguards are supposed to be Obersoldaten models with Kar 98s, so we got to fight back okay at least. It looks like a pretty convincing win to the penal squad right there. So we'll try one more against the penals, but this time we'll make use of the target them ability. Okay, so it doesn't seem to have made a huge difference in this engagement. But yeah, it does make a little bit of a difference. So repeating that test now, but with both squads of Vet 2, we'll see if the extra model is going to make a difference for the officer. It does seem to be more even at the very least. So not quite so bad, but still a win to the penal squad. But considering this can vet up quite quickly, this is probably a likely scenario, both of them at Vet 2. So not too bad for the officer there. Same test, but now both squads fully vetted up. Sturm Officer might actually do slightly worse in this engagement just because the STG won't be quite so good at the long range. Oof, it's actually looking really good. Wow, so that's actually a really convincing win to the Sturm Officer now that it's up to Vet 5. So it seems like, Penal's getting that last stage of Vet nowhere near as powerful as the officer going from Vet 2 up to Vet 5. So yeah, the officer looks pretty damn strong once it's vetted up, and we haven't even used target them ability. So another bonus of using the officer, and you can see here the sight of the Fallshirmjager goes out to this yellow line out here. But the officer standing on the same line can see an extra 10 range. So really good line of sight on the Sturm Officer. Command Tiger 1, this is the Tiger in the Grand Offensive Commander. So similar to other heavy tanks, it's having its AoE reworked. So the near and mid are going down, but the far is going up. And the scatter is also going down, similar to the King Tiger that we saw earlier. Also, the veterancy requirements are going down by a pretty decent chunk. So here is the OKW Command Tiger once again against a rifleman at close to max range. See how this goes compared to the King Tiger. So pretty good accuracy, 2 for 2 straight away there. See a little bit of the AoE profile there, but once again, very, very strong accuracy, even at very close to max range. So yeah, the Tiger looks even better than the King Tiger shooting at max range in terms of scatter. Maybe doesn't have quite so much AoE, but very impressive stuff. Now the Command Tiger against a clumped up squad of riflemen. Well, that squad was pretty damn clumped up, but that was a monster hit, one-shot wipe there. I believe these heavy tanks have a similar AoE profile in terms of one-shot kill radius to most medium tanks, so a medium tank would one-shot kill so all these heavy tanks, but yeah, that was pretty impressive, one shot, squad down. Thorough salvage, this is the salvage ability in the Scavenge Commander, and the time it takes is being reduced from 20 to 11, same as a regular salvage, because it is quite risky trying to salvage. You know, you're more vulnerable to small arms fire whilst that's happening, can drop like flies your squads, so the risk reward wasn't there, but maybe it is now with the reduced time. And the last one for OKW, the Jagdtiger is receiving quite a lot of changes here. Adjustments have been made to the Jagdtiger's mobility to make it more responsive on the battlefield. In exchange, some of its combat stats are being reduced to make it a heavier elephant that can support an attack with HE rounds. This unit is also requires tech now. So it requires all SWS trucks to be converted, all of them. Fuel cost is going down slightly from 280 to 260. Population also goes down slightly from 23 to 22. Frontal armor is going down from 525 to 450. Now that it's a little bit more mobile, it's important that you be able to penetrate it from the front occasionally, and 525 armor wasn't allowing that. Health is going down slightly from 1280 to 1120, so one less shot to kill now as well. But acceleration is going way up. 0.5 to 1.2, so it's going to accelerate so much more quickly now. Rotation rate also being increased from 12 to 16, so this should help both in terms of maneuvering around the battlefield and angling it to shoot at more targets, so it should be a lot more responsive. Range is going down from 80 to 70, so that's going to be the same range as the Elephant now. Accuracy is going up, and I believe the net impact of this is that it's the same accuracy at 70 range as it was previously, but now maybe it's a little bit more accurate near and mid. Horizontal tracking speed is going from 6 to 12, so I believe this should make the gun a little bit more responsive when aiming at targets. The engine upgrade is still around, but the bonuses now only apply when out of combat, so it's so much faster stock now, it doesn't really need the engine upgrade, but it's going to get the engine upgrade. That way you'll be able to reposition it more quickly if you want to go from end to end on the battlefield. The Vet 5 bonus now adds back in that 160 health that it lost earlier. Previously, I think Vet 5 used to have no bonuses at all, because I was talking about the dazed function, which used to be the case if the Jagdtiger took damage or gets stunned and you couldn't move it. It was removed a while ago, so now there's actually a bonus of Vet 5, adding back the health that it lost over here. And the piercing shell is going down from 90 to 70 munitions. This is the one that allows you to shoot through shot blockers such as buildings, make it function more like a Pack 43. So taking a look at the revised mobility on the Jagdtiger here, certainly notice the faster acceleration. It's up to speed quite a lot more quickly. And yeah, it does seem to turn more easily as well, so that's nice. Howitzers pre-engine upgrade as well. Pop that on. I've got the speed ups on, so this is going to go instantly, but don't want to wait too long. Oof. Now this thing's quite sprightly with the engine upgrade going. Remember, this speed is only possible when you're out of combat. But yeah, repositioning from end to end on a battlefield is going to be much more quick than it used to be. So yeah, Jagdtiger does seem to be quite a lot faster than it was previously. A special thank you goes out to all my Patreon backers who make these more in-depth videos possible.